Hi, everybody. Make sure I get this. Okay, adjusted. All right. It is very late. Sorry, could not be helped. We are at 1,446 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered, code red, on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, and we still don't have his remains. So the evidence is mounting. The evidence is mounting. Now we have evidence enough to say that Richard was murdered premeditatedly and code red internally, and the prime suspects are uh, a rogue breakaway criminal group from the original response team. And I'll say that enough to get quicker and quicker at it, but it's very important if you want to know who premeditatedly murdered Code Red Richard Halliday on Fort Bliss. You need to say, well, the prime suspects are in that rogue breakaway criminal group from the original response team. Okay, the original response team, a group from in that, a rogue group that is a breakaway criminal group from the original response team. I think that is the best way to identify um, the location of where the prime murder suspects are. So let's go on Facebook and see if I'm on. Everything's okay. Looks like I'm on.
Let's go on Facebook.
Okay. Thank you so much. So today has been, and I'm so sorry I'm so late, and I need to go on earlier and earlier, but it can't be helped. And I have some pictures here. I'm going to show you a couple pictures. Here's a family picture of us. Look at how happy Richard is there. That's Richard right there. Richard and Robert and our daughters, right? And then what else do I have here? I have a, let's see if I can get that where that's Robin and me right there. Okay, and then of course an inspiration. Let's see if I can get that on there. That's my Oma. That's my Oma. Yeah, that's Hana. That's my Oma. See if I can get and that's the legacy of doing what's right. Um, it goes through the generations, and we can't cower to a rogue criminal group. We can't cower to them. We have so much that our families have worked for. And, to have our country be contaminated by thieves, the bottom line is um, thievery, how, they steal, and this criminal trafficking is about stealing people's lives, stealing people's freedoms, and also, just monetarily stealing with things and then laundering the money. And Richard was reporting criminal trafficking. Criminal trafficking. And, it's very profitable, but it's illegal. it hurts people, and it hurts our country, and it hurts El Paso, it hurts the community, it hurts our families. It's so um, it's so vile, and it's so vulgar, and it ends up like in this sex cult group, um, where they cross the lines. They just cross the lines of everything decent and good, and that's why you will see so much um, so much retaliation, uh, just pointless retaliation. And what has happened is today, breaking news, that we received word that we are getting that growing national. Remember, I've been talking about the institutional support, the growing institutional support, more and more institutional support, national institutional support. Of course, you have the state of Texas, which is uh, amazing, amazing institutional support, and now you have the national growing um, support. Well, that support is now advancing. It's advancing. And that's why you'll see more support, more interest in our story, our son's story, um, what is going on with all the criminal activity in this, what Richard exposed, what we have continued to expose, what Richard was exposing, continued his work um, for justice, for the safety of our country, for the defense of our country. He took an oath. He took taking oaths very seriously. Some do not. Some do not, like Bill Hicks. He does not take taking oaths seriously. He's a usurper. He's a usurper in the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office. And it is very, very clear. And, many of these um, rogue group individuals in the original response team in Richard's case don't take their oaths seriously either, to defend the Constitution from foreign and domestic enemies, and to become a criminal within the ranks, to become a criminal, to take advantage of our system, which is supposed to be there to support our country, to make our country healthy and strong and good, and they're taking advantage of that. That is a betrayal of their oaths, a betrayal of their uniforms, their badges. And so this is why this rogue group, criminal group, has been so brazen and bold, is because they have put on our beautiful uniforms. They have put on our beautiful badges. That's why, they impersonate what is supposed to be a response team, right? A response team, a defense team. And, like Joe Spencer, he is, like really an imposter. He, says he's a defense attorney, and yet he is an intimidator. He even targets our election system. He interferes with the candidates and with the elections. And that's all being exposed. And it's not me. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. And it's not just me saying that. It is it is a wannabe DA, an attorney there in El Paso that wanted to be a DA, and felt like she had to record the meeting with Joe Spencer because of the intimidation and the bullying, trying to interfere with our election process, our system, you know, the candidates to interfere with who can run. And now that really makes us understand the situation that we're in with Joe Biden, right? We're like the Democrat Party. Um, you mean you have capable people that can run, right? And yet there's so much intimidation. There's so much interference, like what Joe Spencer's doing right there in El Paso with the district attorney's office. Somebody wants to run, and they feel intimidated. They feel bullied. They are told that they can't run. Who is Joe Spencer to do that? I mean, that's really the more you read that article um, in El Paso Times, the more you read that about the interference and candidates wanting to run for district attorney, um, and from the defense attorney of the Walmart case. Okay, so you have the defense attorney interfering with the election process and the candidates for the prosecutors. You understand? So it's like, okay, so the defense attorney wants to control the prosecutors, the prosecuting candidates, the office of the DA office, right? The district attorney's office, those that identify the crimes, that document the crimes, that prosecute the crimes. He wants to control that because he's a defense attorney. So, what is he? He wants Patrick Crucius to just walk, to just stay in isolation on the El Paso taxpayers' dime for more years, um, without even a mental health evaluation. I mean, they don't. He doesn't want this case to move forward because Patrick Crucius is facing the death penalty for participating in an orchestrated Walmart mass shooting in El Paso. I mean, absolutely shaking and rattling the whole community. Um, yeah, this is when you really think about it, and we need to think about it, because Richard's case partly depends on a functioning district attorney um, there in El Paso, someone that will identify the crime, that will document the crime, and that will prosecute the crime. And we see that Bill Hicks is absolutely unable to do that because he's illegitimate. He doesn't have the authority. He does not have rightful authority. Anyone can stand up against him and say, you don't have the rightful authority. Just like um, this rogue breakaway criminal group in the original response team in Richard's case, they have come from a position of impersonating authority. We have it. We did this. We did that. No, look, we have a premeditated murdered soldier on Fort Bliss. You don't have the authority uh, to cover it up. Okay? There's no authority to cover it up. The law explicitly is there to identify the crime, document the crime, and prosecute the crime. And that's why messing with all these DA's office and specifically in our case in El Paso is so important for these criminals, because uh, who is going to carry out justice if it's not the district attorney's office? See, then you have to get the national support. And that's what we have been doing from really the very, very beginning. And just not taking no for an answer. Because, there is, these people are humans that are in these situations, and they need to be reminded and made alert. And, it's kind of, whatever you think of Bill, what's his name? The comedian that got in big legal trouble by his stuff. Anyway, but he said you have to repeat things 3 times, right? Take off your shoes, take off your shoes, take off your shoes. Um, close the door, close the door, close the door. And all of us with children, absolutely laugh with that because we know it's true that we have to repeat all the times. Our directions to our children's, chew with your mouth closed, chew with your mouth closed. We have to say it 3 times. We have to, repetition is the mother of knowledge. And so this is the same thing with our legal system, with our institutions, with our agencies. We absolutely know that not all of them are on the up and up, and so they have to be reminded of their position, and that they too, no matter if they're on the up and up or not, no matter if they like us or not, no matter if they like Richard or not, no matter if this means that they're going to be held accountable for the crimes, they are in that position. And I'm talking about Jesus Nieto. Um, I'm talking about Marlon Soto. I'm talking about Tavita Nusa, who lost his badge, right? He lost his badge um, because he was not in the position of authority to commit crimes, to give unauthorized access to Leilani Hart, his family member, his sexual partner. He was not allowed to give her that unauthorized access to be up to no good. And, and then at the national level, and you can go on, Bill Hicks does not have the authority at all. He did not install properly. That's the way to say it. He did not install as district attorney properly or legally, and therefore he is a usurper in that position. And it's the same thing with the chief medical examiner, Mario Raskin Ortiz. Mario Raskin Ortiz did not come into the country properly. He broke his visa properly. He broke the visa. He broke the exception, right? Or the waiver. He broke the waiver. Whatever happens, he is illegal. It's void. It is void. And he is not qualified to be the chief medical examiner. He does not have authority. As bad as he wants to have authority, as bad as Veronica Escobar wants to have the authority, because, you know, once all of that breaks, she's there. She was the one. She's the one supporting the criminal activity. And it is criminal activity, and it is a portrayal of El Pasoans and a betrayal of Texans and a betrayal of the United States. So, that's all coming out. And so the breaking news is, if you're just joining, we have breaking news. We have been, for the last almost 4 years, growing the national support by um, absolutely repeating, requesting. And sometimes that's why I have to come on and burn the midnight oil like tonight, because it's a lot of work. By the grace of God, we've been able to do it, um, and we've had the support team to do it, and the family support team absolutely to do it, which is very difficult when you're having to deal with a lot of, at the very beginning, all of this smear campaign, this false narrative, trying to frame Richard's case with a fabricated uh, narrative, and having to chip away at that to let people know that this is um, a fabricated, a frame job of Richard's premeditated murder, capital murder case, right? And they've tried to frame it in all kinds of ways, and we've had to, take down that structure that they've tried to put up there. And so, and tell the truth and let people see behind the curtain, let people see the real case. And it's ugly. It's very, very ugly. Um, but we have to uh, expose it nonetheless, for the sake of Richard, for the sake of our military, for the sake of El Paso, for the sake of Texas, for the sake of the nation. And so the breaking news is that all of our work, the frame was just toothpicks. It was, it had no hold. It was just really, it was just, I guess, a smoke job, a smoke bomb. Um, I'm trying to find the right narrative, the right analogy, to let everyone know that the smoke is clearing and people um, see what really happened. And as we see more and more clear, as more and more of the fog lifts, and of course, the national level agencies and authorities and um, institutions see it first, right? Because they have, of course, access to all of the evidence that we have put forward. In addition to, really, we have things that they haven't even seen yet. So and that's why we received the national support of the United States government to declare Richard deceased. But we have all the additional evidence that we provided to them, um, and absolutely they know that Richard was murdered. And this national support, this national support that is absolutely seeing the evidence and is convinced, because there's no other way, there's no other option, right? There is no other option. Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss, and his remains cannot get up and walk away, right? His remains, if he's deceased on Fort Bliss, okay, his remains cannot get up and just walk away. This is absolutely a declaration of murder. And because of all the other evidence that we have, it was premeditated. It was a premeditated, and it was internal. Therefore, a premeditated internal murder is called a code red. And you can say, oh, that's Navy or whatever. No, it is an internal, and it is an analogy to the movie, right? A Few Good Men, the code red. Um, and, really, that came from the prime suspect. The prime suspect was telling us very early on what had happened to Richard, written down. Written down that it was like a few good men, a code red. And that was Leilani Hart. Leilani Hart, the mother of Richard's platoon leader. Um, you know, telling us right out what had happened to Richard. And she's a confirmed convicted criminal, right? She's involved in the um, adult sexual uh, services business. Okay, she was receiving her mail at an adult sexual service uh, business. And, you know, uh, just trying to define everything for people. Because if I say, oh, it's Dreams Cabaret, that sounds like, oh, maybe that's like some kind of mattress shop or something like that. No, this is an adult um, sexual service entertainment business. And, that's where she was getting her mail. So that corroborates um, this vile and vulgar messaging that we have been bullied with and intimidated with. And but you see, the thing is at the beginning, it has effects, right? And then it you almost you can see through it. It's kind of like the Matrix. The bullets are coming to you, and might zip past you and get your arm or whatever. And but once you learn how to jump, right? And that the fall, you can control the fall. Once you learn that those bullets are just a matrix, they're just part of an attempt to fabricate a framing of a narrative so that Bob Moore can use it in a fabricated story and do like a hypnosis job on the community so that they could get away with murder. That's the bottom line, is a psyop job and how to get away with murder. And once you see through it all and understand um, what they're trying to do, then when the bullets come at you, you can just flick them away. You just doop, doop, flick them away. And or you say, okay, I'm going to collect those, put them in my pocket, because each one of them is evidence of intimidation, evidence of bullying, of harassment, of impersonation, of another criminal activity. And so then you take those that evidence of criminal activity, and you put them in reports, and you send those reports out to our system, our government system. And you learn how to love the law that way, because they have to repeating and repeating and repeating. And this is where you have to have be a long distance runner, right? You have to have that fortitude. You have to just what's the right words, to keep going. And because the individuals in the system are constantly changing, and the politics are constantly changing. And you see, from 2020 until now, the whole psychology of the politics has changed. we absolutely have had the curtain swung wide open on how the media will go to the most ludicrous extremes to feed us a false narrative in order to meet political goals. And it is not about telling us the truth. It's not about doing what is right. It's not about justice. They, absolutely will tell us that the emperor, who has no clothes on, is just beautifully dressed, right? Has the most beautiful garb on, and yet we're all sitting there going, no, he's naked, right? It has no clothes on, right? And they're like, oh no, but don't you see it? Don't you see it? And you're like, who's insane now? Who's crazy now? Um, and so don't feel like you're losing your mind. You need to stand your ground. And, people will call you crazy. I mean, I don't know how many times people have called us out, trying to do a hypnosis job on us and tell us all kinds of wild things absolute ludicrous things about Richard. And we're like, what? Geez, I need to give him an award if that's the case, because no way could that be accomplished in that time, with even though Richard was so skilled, he was a black belt, and he was the guidon bearer, and he was the distinguished undergraduate for basic training and AIT, and he clept out of college math. 6 hours of college math, clept out of it, right? Just went and took the test at the age of 15. And he clept out of 6 hours, 6 college credit hours of German at the same time. He was 15 years old and he did it. We were just like, woohoo, just amazing. So, absolutely. But what they were telling us was just so ludicrous. And, so you just have to trust your senses, trust God. And now we have this breaking news today with increase, the increase of the growing national support that is advancing. They're advancing. And we received confirmation about that today. So this is something to share. The Richard Halliday case with the Walmart mass shooting case. Okay, because anything that happens with Richard's case, with our son's case, is totally connected with the August 3rd, 2019 Walmart mass shooting case. That's why there has been so much this criminal group, right? This criminal group from the rogue group from the original response team, because it is all connected to the Walmart mass shooting of August 3rd, 2019. Richard's case came first. That's why Leilani Hart wanted that unauthorized access to tamper with Richard's case, because it was there already. You see, it was there, and it was thick already. It was thick of his reports of the criminal trafficking, and that came first. And so anything that happens, if there is an advancing, growing national support, if our growing national support is advancing, it's advancing on Richard's case, and that means it's advancing on the Walmart mass shooting case. And the Walmart mass shooting case is coming up to 5 years. 5 years, right? And Richard's case is longer than that. Now, he's been murdered for almost 4 years. But his case comes first. And that is something that El Pasoans need to understand. Not only El Pasoans, but our military, because this affected so many. Do never forget about Glendon Oakley Jr. Okay? Never forget that. And I would even put Asia Graham in that category. But Glendon Oakley Jr., this is for him also. What a beautiful young man. It just breaks every time I think about watching those videos, you know, your heart just shatters. It just what a beautiful young man. When I think about Richard and his videos, what was going on in the barracks, and to know that Command Sergeant Major Shaky Jake Jerry Jakovitz is rubbing shoulders with this. Well, he's part of it. He's part of the rogue breakaway original response team. And, you know, Richard's case is a premeditated murder case. This is in Texas. And going to dinner with Shaky Jake, seeing him betray us, right? Absolutely experiencing the betrayal in the meetings, because don't forget, he was in the meeting when they were telling us that Nadal Baim is just some guy, some weird guy that was following our Facebook. That he's just some guy following our Facebook. And he absolutely, look, Nadal Baim, father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, right there with Command Sergeant Major 32nd ADCOM Shaky Jake Jakovitz. And, you know, and I've known this for a long time, since the day it happened, that Team Find Richard Halliday at one of the initial rallies told him to his face, called him out, because as Command Sergeant Major, he told Team Find Richard Halliday he did not know that he had a missing soldier, that he had a deserter on his list, and he got called out as an effing liar. Because we are a military family, a generational military family with support from the military community, from a history of not only being born. I was born at White Sands. My dad worked at White Sands, worked on Fort Bliss. I went to school on Fort Bliss. I went to school at MacArthur Elementary School, Bassett. Look, for the Command Sergeant Major to say something so ludicrous like that, we knew something was stinky. And it wasn't me that said that to him, but that what needed to be said, to call him out. And now that very same Command Sergeant Major who betrayed Richard, first and foremost, betrayed our country, betrayed his oath, betrayed Richard, because his duty was to care for Richard. To say he doesn't even know when he has a missing soldier in the middle of Vanessa Guillen debacle, in the middle of Austin Hawk debacle, in the middle of Caleb Smither debacle, in the middle of Enrique Roman Martinez's debacle, in the middle of Elder Fernandez's debacle. To say what he did, he needed to be called out. And now to rub shoulders with the very suspects of the premeditated murder code red of our son? How low can you get? What is your legacy going to be? It's going to be pretty bad. Pretty bad. And all those fabricated little ceremonies, and I've been to a lot of them. What is that going to do? It is just a pretense, a pretending of, trying to put lipstick on a pig. He needs to be stripped from our beautiful, beautiful uniforms, along with Sean Bernabe, along with Donna Martin, along with McConville, along with those that sat up in front and said that Nadal Baim was just some guy that was watching our Facebook. And, other things are going to come out that are much bigger than that. Nadal Baim is a little bit of the evidence, y'all. He is a little bit of the known evidence in this case. And he worked, I don't know if he still does, worked for Western Frontier Trading, putting in bids, $3 million contract bid for ammunition to El Paso Police Department. And and has a record, y'all. Has a criminal record. How does that happen? And is the father-in-law of Bradford Bucado in the G3. And right there by Blue Party Hall. Right there on that Donovan. And the leadership, the rogue breakaway criminal group from the original response team is sitting up there in a VTC telling us that Nadal Baim is just some guy and that the canine had to go pee-pee and poo-poo and didn't find and had to stop, the senses off, when in actuality the canine had a positive hit. A positive hit. And we know the location. And we want our son's remains. And that's why, and this is just a little bit of the evidence that we have presented. Just a little bit. It's going to come out. But, the witnesses have been bullied and harassed and tampered with, and we've had to be very mindful of our witness whistleblowers who have come forward. Like we have the eyewitness that Richard was forcibly taken out of his bed, out of his room. We have witness whistleblowers for so much of the evidence that they had no other choice but to declare him deceased, in actuality premeditated, murdered, code red. And that evidence is mounting because more and more is coming forward, and they have to be protected. And we received a huge evidence today. And we also received the wonderful breaking news. So keep your eyes on El Paso. Keep your eyes on Fort Bliss. But really, really on El Paso, because we received notice today that we have growing national support that is advancing. It is advancing. And we will continue to grow that national support and grow the local support, the local support of the people, because it's the local support of the people that need to back Yvonne Rosales. There was so much smear campaign around. Really, this rogue group that is connected to the Walmart mass shooting. Okay, it's all connected to the Walmart mass shooting. And how do you know it's connected to the Walmart mass shooting? The Walmart mass shooting is coming up at 5 years and nothing has been done. Nothing. Where is Judge Medrano? Where is Joe Spencer? Where is Felix Valenzuela? Where is the usurper, Bill Hicks? Everything they were saying, smearing about Yvonne Rosales was really in actuality them. And she absolutely needs everybody's support because her time is very short. And we've been praying. We've been praying. We were praying in Macon. Macon has this beautiful cathedral. When we were, I don't know if people know this, but we had to take a trip and we went into Macon, and the cathedral, we didn't know if we could get into it because it's amazing, amazing cathedral there in Macon, Georgia. And this man was in the parking lot, and he goes, "Are you here to go into the cathedral?" And we said, "Yes, if it's open, we'd love to go into the cathedral." And he says, "I'll show you how to get to the open door, okay? Because the front doors are locked, but the side door, anyone can go in." And we went in there, and we were praying for Yvonne Rosales, okay? We lit candles for Yvonne Rosales. And she needs to take her rightful place. She has been put through so much. And I don't know her personally. I've never talked to her. She's a Democrat. I normally vote very right. I'm like a Ron Paul voter, very conservative. But I'm saying prayers for Yvonne Rosales because she is the rightful district attorney. And she was bullied and she was lied about. And one of the main interferers, intimidators, was Joe Spencer, was Bob Moore, was Justin Underwood. And we learned about the character of Joe Spencer in that article. I'm crying because we really are praying that not only that Yvonne Rosales will strap on the full, first pull on her boots, strap on the full armor of God, march in there, have the support of her voters, her voting base there in El Paso to back her up, because she has to have that backup. And to once she gets her, because she was forced to resign in duress. It was brutal what they did to her. And the more you read through it, the more, it's kind of like the brutality of the whole COVID thing, what they did to us with the COVID, right? It was just brutal. It was just unnecessary. Unnecessary. And we're all about taking care of each other, they took advantage of our love for one another, for our love for our families. And they required things that hurt us more. They had an evil intention. And what they did to Yvonne Rosales was also this fabrication, the twisting, the manipulating, even taking. See, this is why in our case, that is such a godsend, that is so important, because this rogue group, they have access. They were given unauthorized access to information. They illegally, with impersonation, had access, and they had access to Rob's entire military file, to Richard's healthcare, his whole military file, everything. And Richard looked so good. And Rob looked so good. And if they if there was one little thing, they would have ran with it and twisted it and turned it. And, the point is that should not even be the case. You don't have to have a totally clean record in order to ask the question, where is my son? Look for my son. Identify the criminals. Document the crime. Prosecute the crime. You shouldn't. That's not required. That every that Richard has anybody has a clean record. And so they will take any little thing. And during that whole COVID time period where Yvonne was, navigating through the politics of that, can you imagine the politics and the media of that? They were just taking full advantage of twisting that and misrepresenting it. It's so clear when you read through everything and these open records that we have requested, that John Briggs was so up to no good on so many different cases. And John Briggs is one of those that I would say, is right in that category with Joe Spencer. Hurting El Pasoans, hurting the prosecution of crimes. And all these plea deals, y'all, plea deals is not the prosecution of crimes, because, the public cannot hear the trial, cannot hear the case. It's a cover-up job. It's just and the federal case of Patrick Crucius, it's like a cover-up job, because yes, he got punished, and everybody's like, okay, he's going to spend 1,000 years in the albatross of the Rockies, right? But the public did not get to hear the case. Did not get to hear the evidence against him. did not get to hear the witnesses. And doesn't the Bible say you need to have these two witnesses? Let's hear the two witnesses. I want to hear the two witnesses that say Patrick Crucius came in there and shot up 23 people, or more people, right? But we're not given that opportunity to hear the evidence against him. And that's going against our system. Our system requires that we have a transparent, open legal system. You can't just shut doors on us. And these plea deals are, like shut doors. So, and I hope that makes sense. So we really we partly uh, need, it's important for Richard's case to have a legitimate DA in the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office. That's why that's so important. And that's why we're absolutely praying for Yvonne Rosales. And I hope that we can, through these live streams and more, and I wish, the force multiplier. We need you to be the force multiplier. We need you to go and tell your friends and post up and everything that what we have in El Paso right now is a usurper, and that Yvonne Rosales is the rightful, duly elected district attorney, and that she needs to be supported so that she can assert her position, so that she can do her job of prosecuting crime in El Paso. So that's really very, very important. And the message is that we have breaking news, growing national support that is advancing now. And it's, so everything that we're doing is working. It's not an overnight. I wish it was. I wish it was like really quick, but justice grinds slowly, but it grinds fine, right? And so we have to keep going, and we've been doing this for 4 years, and we're getting major results right now. We'll have more breaking news tomorrow because of all the evidence we received today that we're still going through. And if people want to know what happened to Richard, he was reporting criminal trafficking. They retaliated against him to try to discredit him, to discredit what he was reporting. If you discredit him, it's like the unreliable source that Leilani Hart is, like Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia is, like Belen Rocha is, like Danae Katzen is. Right? These are all unreliable sources, and they're all connected, right? They're all connected because they go to the same congregation, they live in the same house, or family members, right? And so, they're all connected, and that connects the Walmart case again, and then Bob Moore connects the Walmart case again. So it's all intertwined. And so if we move forward in Richard's case, we're moving the Walmart case forward also. And in order for that Walmart case to move forward, we need to really pray for Yvonne Rosales, support her, and then once she gets in there, continue to pray that she will do the right thing once she's in there, because she's a legitimate DA, and she needs to do the right thing. And she fired John Briggs, okay? That should tell you something. And the usurper, Bill Hicks, hired a criminal to run the office. So all of that is coming out. And I just want to say thank you so much. If you have any questions, God will supply all your needs, righteousness, glory, honor, and prayers for justice for Richard Halliday. Absolutely. And really put Yvonne Rosales on that list. Because what we have been doing has um, opened the door. Okay? Open the door. The door is open. Um, and there is advancing national support, and we need the local support for her, and um and I think that, you know, it's looking very, very good, very good. And it's very emotional for me because you know, I want Richard's remains, and I want these that did this horrible, horrible, disgusting crime held accountable. So, yeah. And I do want to say last night that was I need to make a little meme with this, that Bob Moore is a discredited journalist. He's a disgrace to journalism, and he is a disgust to journalism. Okay? He is discredited, disgraced, and disgust. Okay? Disgusting, right? To journalism. Um, and that needs to get out there. And I don't say that without a lot of evidence behind it, because of so many people that he has hurt by fabricating these false stories. And, you know, having this Bob Moore's group with Amber Chase and this rogue breakaway criminal group from the original response team. And yeah, he, you know, just really, he is a discredited journalist. He's a disgraceful journalist, and he's a disgusting journalist. And I think that describes it really good. That came out last night, and I thought, oh yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. And yeah, please share. Please share. Until tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye.